Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Hype Cycles. If you have seen the last episode, it is three-fourths of an episode because we only have 1.5 cameras working in that episode. Now I am back, hopefully. And yes, life is hopefully sorted for now. Nitesh, what's been up?
Vineet, there is a trope about how Porsche makes SUVs now, right? Bear with me. I know it's a car analogy right at the top, but it should pay out. Let's see. Porsche started making SUVs, and a lot of purists were really upset about that. कि क्या है? You're the original sports car company. What are you even doing? But the SUVs do really well, and the stereotypical customer for the Porsche SUVs are the soccer moms, especially in the US, but now increasingly all over the world. You know, the ultra rich moms who drop off their kids to soccer practice. And the chief complaint that purists have is that I think there are shades of sexism, but for the most part, it is here's this awesome twin turbo V8 capable of doing the Nürburgring in less than 7 minutes weapon that is being used for a school run, and that just it makes purists' hearts
The
ache.
purist कौन सा Nürburgring में क्या कर रहे हैं? The
Uh,
purists are also using it to go to Walmart.
Agreed, but let me get to the back half of my analogy. Currently, recording a podcast on a MacBook is feeling like that. The prices, good God, they've
If
doubled.
you want to buy my Mac Mini, I will give it to you for 88,000 rupees.
They have doubled. A fucking base iPad is 50,000 now. 50 grand for a base iPad. No offers, nothing. iPhone prices haven't gone up yet, but all the cashbacks, the discounts, everything is gone. And apparently, a price hike is imminent in July.
Another
MacBook
price
prices
hike
are.
or on the iPhone now?
Sorry?
Another price hike.
There never was one. No? When they
No,
launched a new
when
one,
you're saying a
the
price hike is imminent in July,
on the
another
rest
one
of the range, the
on the
ones that
rest of the
haven't
range.
been touched yet, which is the iPhone, the watch, and the AirPods. Everything else has gone up yesterday and fucking overnight. Like, if anything, Apple has been a holdout. You know, that they were able to sustain, not passing on the storage hikes to their customers. But I
दो
think it
चीजें हैं,
just
एक तो
demonstrates
होल्ड
just
आउट
how much
सॉरी
margin they had to begin with, that they could sustain it for so long. But now it's gone past even Apple margin status. And despite their amazing supply chains and everything, they are like, we can't sustain at these prices. We have to hike. And
I was just thinking hold out is one thing, but one thing Apple always maintained somehow is predictability of pricing. Does anyone know how much a Dell XPS 13 costs?
because
Is it 70,000, 80,000, 1 lakh, 60,000, 40,000,
that
1.5 lakhs? It is all of them.
they never standardized. No? It was never predictable. It was never standardized. It was depends always. So depends. अभी भी
डिपेंड्स
वही.
कि अमेज़न है, फ्लिपकार्ट है, डेल है, डिपेंड्स कि उसपे क्या कॉन्फ़िग है, डिपेंड्स कि
Yeah,
कौन-सा डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर है।
yeah. That's half of the reason why Apple is so popular with mainstream consumers. No, it's just simple. Everything is simple. It just works. But
It
this,
has now gone back to being absolutely not value for money anymore.
yeah, the Mac Mini was 42 or 43 with offers when we spoke about it. 42 or 43. It's 90 now. 90 for a Mac Mini.
Still a great computer, but
Not at 90K, man. Come on.
now it is a great computer independent of the price, if you ignore the price. Earlier it was like, हाँ, अभी खरीदो, फेंको मेरे सिर पे. Like
Which I
45K for a fantastic
shouted
machine.
literally from the rooftops, but didn't follow myself. Should have bought it, man. I really regret that. And if
Yeah,
I,
कभी you should follow your own influencer advice at some point. अपना चोमू 10 कूपन कोड खुद डालो एंड खुद खरीदो.
that would make me a bad influencer, no? You never get high on your own supply.
That would make you the best kind of influencer, right? कि वो जो कहते हैं ना कि नहीं I am only recommending things that I would buy myself,
हाँ, अच्छा.
but then you never end up buying.
Yeah.
was kind of influencer. तुम्हें
This
खरीदना
goes,
चाहिए, it's amazing, and then you don't buy it yourself. No,
yeah,
terrible.
this goes to show don't take any stock advice from this channel. We don't make it ourselves.
Yeah, though, again, a Mac Mini would have been great investing advice.
Yeah. Especially if you hadn't opened the box, you could probably
Yeah, yeah.
flip it for at least definitely better than whatever our portfolios are doing right
I am going to check right now OLX पे. How much are people in Delhi selling Mac Mini M4?
M4 वो 60-70 से तो कम होगा ही नहीं.
मेरे घर के पास में 2 किलोमीटर 32,000.
Nice. Buy it and it flip
उसके
it.
नीचे उसके नीचे 75,000.
Yeah. The previous guy just hasn't updated the price yet.
नहीं, the previous guy is a scammer for sure.
Ah, okay. So the real
असल में बहुत स्कैम्स होते हैं. 32,000 मैं भी जाके खरीद रहा हूँ. I don't need it. By the way, no, the OLX prices have absolutely no. These are all fake.
oh,
These are all fake. I can see 15 listings with the same photo. Apple is full of scams. Apple on OLX, terrible combination.
yeah.
So
Territory I'm completely unfamiliar with. So just
OLX is amazing.
OLX in general gives me the creeps. No shade on you for using it. I know you're a power user.
I love it. I would say every single guitar you see behind me, the one you see on the left has now been sold on OLX, will be picked up today. That guitar, not on OLX, second hand, but I've just bought. So yeah, I'm selling that one. That's why. So yeah, I'm a OLX power user.
Very cool. Very cool.
Terrible interface, but such a useful website.
Yeah.
Let us jump to my story, which is your story, which is AI has been fucking the consumer tech space for the last few months, and now suddenly everything is piling up. Fucking has gone into fucked. Has fucked. It has gone from present continuous to present perfect. Has fucked ho gaya hai. Consumer tech is fucked and not getting better. Not going to get better. So, because if you look at, so Apple is just the trigger, right? But it's been happening for a while. Now, again, the reason people don't talk about price rises in Dell XPS and whatnot is because people have no fucking clue कि किसका price क्या होना चाहिए. What is the other space where prices are consistent and trackable? Consoles. Consoles have also totally gone out of whack. So let's discuss Apple first, India pricing. And how it's crazy now. So the MacBook Pro 14-inch M5 16512 has gone from 170, which was a great price actually. And I say, and I'm not even being sarcastic. Like I have a 2023 M2 Pro, I think. Still such a fantastic machine. Got it on OLX, half price, many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I have my beef with Apple Care. They're absolutely terrible, terrible, terrible. The battery is shit now, and they refuse to fix it under Apple Care. Other than that, fantastic machine. It's now 2.4 lakhs for the 16 GB model,
Up from 1.8.
1.7.
7. Okay.
And that's where, because their pricing mechanism also has been terrible for so many years, right? Especially for the components that are now causing this price rise, which is RAM and SSDs.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. They've always been like, acha, 8 GB RAM pays 20,000 rupees extra. Why?
Because
Why? The Mac Mini, the base model, 16256, was
Mhm.
60K MRP. And 20 pieces are add karte raho for 8 GB RAM at 20,000 rupees.
yeah.
Now that base model at 2.4 lakhs for 16 GB RAM is no, absolutely terrible value. The MacBook Air 13-inch
Mm-hmm.
is now, well, the website still says 1.2, but rumors say it's going to 1.5.
Oof. The
Right.
base MacBook Air.
The base MacBook Air.
Fuck.
The
Okay.
base 15-inch is now apparently 1.8 or heading there. The,
Mine for 90.
yeah, exactly.
Literally half.
Remember the M1 MacBook Air we've discussed this, was such fantastic value. For like, it was available for 45, 50K.
45. Yeah.
अब उसका पता नहीं, वो तो बंद हो गया अब तो. The MacBook Pro M5 Max has gone up by a lakh. And now the iPads, which were always at any price, well, you could say for a 30,000 rupees base iPad, sure. Right. Even though an iPad is
Those
something,
things fucking last. I still have a 12-year-old iPad that works.
what do you use it for?
Prime Video, Hotstar, YouTube. All
Fair.
three apps still work on that. It's
Fair.
12 years old.
So I would say that the base iPad is the only thing that has any value.
Yeah. Even
The
at 50.
only it only gets out of whatever because the storage is absolutely terrible. It must be like what, 32 gig
Yeah.
storage, not RAM.
I think so. I don't even know.
Yeah. Right. Which is absolutely terrible, which is the only reason. But otherwise, the iPads are very limited use cases.
Hmm.
ठीक है, passive video consumption, sure, but all that shit, that ad where they're crushing guitars, crushing keyboards, crushing 1,000 things, ki now everything lives in your iPad. That has never been true.
Although, counterpoint, I have seen a lot of business travelers use the iPad Air with the stylus as their only device. Air or Pro, one of the two, as their only device. Pro, I think. Yeah.
As their only device when traveling for a day or a day and a half.
Yeah, but then they're working on. I sat next to a guy who made an entire pitch deck on an iPad Pro, with just a stylus.
Sure. But I would wager that's not his primary device. That is his primary device for that 1.5 days of travel.
Maybe, but the level of comfort and fluency that he had with all the,
Mhm.
I was impressed. Legitimately, like I did not think that that would be a use case for even like 0.1% of 0.1% of even the business population, but he was doing a pretty good job.
Base iPad Air for 90K is terrible, is absurd. iPad Pro is now apparently 1.5 or something, 1.4 lakhs, starting from 1.4 lakhs.
Which, if you're
For
actually going to use it for any of the things I just described, you cannot go with the entry level one, right? You have to go at least one step higher.
हाँ, बिकॉज़ इस पे पेंसिल भी फ्री नहीं होती ना, वो भी
Yeah.
खरीदनी पड़ती है. They have always been terrible with these upgrades, right? And now the base model itself makes absolutely no sense. Because उनकी
लेकिन
आदत भी है ना कि see, at every stage they shame you when if you're on their website. At every stage they shame you on the base model purchase you're doing. Because वो तुम्हें नीचे दिखा रहे हैं 256 GB storage or 512 or 1
wait,
TB or 2
I
TB.
know I have now posted this meme thrice across various WhatsApp groups we are in, but this is exactly what the waiter in Oil Lucky Lucky Oil does. अपनी अपनी कैपेसिटी होती है.
अरे so display glass. Choose which glass is best for you,
Yeah,
right?
why
Standard
wouldn't?
glass or nano texture glass.
Yeah,
And उसके नीचे there's a box saying which glass is right for you. They don't even tell you the clear difference. Both standard and nano texture glass are engineered for extremely low reflectivity. Consider your work environment when deciding which one is right for you. That is so condescending is in the most terrible way possible. हम बताएंगे भी नहीं. Right. And so ये सब all of this Wi-Fi only 256 gig storage, which is okay, fair. The Apple Pencil Pro is 12,000 rupees.
okay, yeah.
No pencil, no keyboard, no Apple Care Plus. Apple Care Plus is terrible. I hate you guys for what you did to me. Is 1.4 lakhs. This makes no sense.
Yeah.
So, and the consoles, right? This is what people also on the internet have been complaining a lot about. Sony PlayStation PS5, which is now a 6-year-old console. Right. And consoles have a norm, they get cheaper with age. Right. But here it's gone from in August 2025 went up by $50 in the US. April 26 went up by $100 more. PS5 Pro is now $900, up 30% over the last 5 years. Xbox has gone $100 up. The 1 TB model has gone up $150. I am undergoing a very funny situation where I am fighting with SanDisk because I had bought a 2 TB SSD for 19K 6 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
It has conked off. I have sent it for RMA a month ago. That same model is now available for 31K. I think
Oof.
that's why they're not replacing it.
Right.
They're just, sir, stock nahi aa raha, stock nahi aa raha. You are selling it online. I can see stock. You're just not replacing mine because it is not value for you. And the service center guy sweetly tells me, sir, upper model hai mere paas. I'm like, मैं ले जाऊंगा, मुझे क्या है? Which is the slight jump up, right? Which is like 5,000 rupees more expensive. I'm like,
There's a
ले
difference.
लूंगा, वो ले लो. I'm like, कंपनी से बात करिए. Like, no, no, don't worry. 5 minutes, I'll call you back. 5 minutes later, he calls me, sir, sorry, कंपनी ने मना कर दिया. I'm like, of course मना कर दिया है. So, yeah,
Because
that is.
they are now non-trivial sums of money, right? Even each warranty claim is now non-trivial sum of money. नहीं, this is like a month's salary for somebody. तो वो तो ऑनर नहीं होगा. देखते हैं. Let's see.
And if you have an Amazon price tracker like Keepa and all, they're jumping. They're like spikes, random spikes. So they come back down also. एक दिन मुझे दिख रहा है it was 31,000 and 38,000 and back to 32,000. No one knows. And so one is, yeah, these price increases are going on. Second is the reason why this is happening. And this is a reason it's been coming for a while. We have seen this coming for a while. It is because of one man. कौन होगा? Sam Altman. Because based on some very random forecasting,
Mhm.
where he also does not he's not even close to the revenue that it would require to actually buy all this stuff that will go into the data centers, into the machines that go into the data centers that then provide the compute for ChatGPT. He went to all these guys and promised them crazy prices and locked up many, many years of supply. And these companies, like, so Twitter reactions are not very positive. People are seeing through it because let's first go through the margins. Micron, right? Big, huge memory maker company. Gross margin F5 2025 was 40%,
Mhm.
17 points from the previous year, right? On revenues of $37 billion. Gross margins in Q1 2026 is 56%. Gross margins trending in Q2 is 67% gross margins.
Yeah.
SK Hynix, gross margin 60%, operating margin of 49%, net margin of 44%.
Which for anybody who's not actively following markets now is crazy. It's crazy for a small cap company that does a few crores of sale every year. But even then you think, ठीक है, छोटी company है, maybe they dominate their niche, whatever. These are trillion-dollar companies doing hundreds of billions of dollars in sales with those margins. This is mad. Mad.
SK Hynix, gross margin in Q1 2026, 79%.
Crazy.
Samsung's
These are
memory division,
software margins in hardware manufacturing.
yes.
Wild.
Samsung's memory division ran a gross margin of 63 to 67% in Q4 2025, briefly topping TSMC. Silicon, so the GPU guys, Nvidia 75% gross margin, AMD 50% gross margin on revenues, on record revenues of $35 billion. Apple gross margin is 46.9%. Microsoft, and again, Microsoft becomes a very wonky comparison because Xbox is a very, very tiny division. I couldn't find, or maybe they don't separate out revenues and margins for
For
that
Xbox.
division.
Right.
They're on 70% gross margins.
That's mostly software.
Mostly software.
Which still makes sense, well, because once you've written a piece of code, you can just keep reutilizing it. Hardware doesn't work that way. When you make a stick of RAM, you can only sell that stick of RAM once and make
But
money.
you, in the last episode, you were pointing out that, like in the Geo example and the Zepto example,
Mhm.
that a lot of the hardware plays and the network plays and the infrastructure plays are eventually you build it out and you spend on it, and eventually then your gross margins are crazy high.
That was specifically about the margin curve, or how you go from large losses to small losses to profits. But even then, even with a massive capex, you you don't have 50% plus or 60% plus gross margins, right? You just don't, because in an efficient market, if anybody sees that you're making that much money, there is going to be competition, right? Somebody is going to see that Samsung, for example, is making these mad amounts of money, and they're going to do the capex and set up a factory and start making that product. And eventually, enough people make the product that you have a supply glut and prices normalize. यहाँ पे वो हो ही नहीं रहा है because the scale and the expertise, both these things, there are only a handful of companies in the world that can do both, that actually have the expertise to make these things and the scale to do them at the in the volumes that the AI build out seems to want.
Yes. And this is something that nobody can get into. These are markets that are like RAM manufacturing. Well, people are now, people on Twitter have been brutal towards all these companies. There is no sympathy towards Apple, right? Because it's not like the company, they're on 46% gross margins, right? I'm assuming my figure, let me just check. Let me just
This
re-verify
sounds
if I.
about right. Apple has always had high margins, and they've been pretty open about it. Like that's the proposition of being in Apple's walled garden. God, I hate that term.
Yeah,
But
47.86%
sounds about
verified
right.
margins.
Hmm.
So, and the stock buybacks and the executive salaries. So when these companies end up saying, oh, we are sorry, we are so sorry, we are forced to raise prices. No, you're not. Right. It's like,
Yeah, but they don't have a choice. If they don't have a choice, if you were in Tim Cook's place or the incumbent, I don't remember his name, what choice do you have? Even if out of the goodness of your heart, you said, no, no, we'll go from 40, late 40s margins to mid 20s for some time because we expect this to normalize. How do you think markets will react? Even with the price hikes, Apple stock was down, what, 5, 6% that day when they announced the price hikes. That was what, yesterday, right? So they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. They don't have a choice. And even consumers will not have a choice. They will buy. I think it's unrealistic to expect Apple, at least, to pare down prices.
I
They,
think, no, I
they
think there will be a change. I think, see, the thing is, laptops, sure. Computers, sure. iPhone prices haven't gone up yet, but they will. Right. But iPads are discretionary purchases. iPads are not primary devices for most people, even your guy on the plane. Right. Sure. His company is providing him or he's very rich, sure. But iPads are going to go down for sure. Consoles are
so
going to go down,
that's
sure.
the trade-off, right? Even Apple knows that this is going to affect volumes, which is why they held out for as long as they did. Storage prices have been on a rip for the last 6 months, and there haven't been any price hikes from Apple. So this was as far as their model could, whatever.
Ah,
I'm sure
people
this
see people
little,
are just complaining and
yeah.
n- not giving them an easy time about this. Oh, we had to increase. No, they don't have to live on 46% gross margins. It's a choice. Right. So yeah, no sympathy.
That's their
They're choosing to
proposition
do it,
to
but they don't deserve any sympathy.
that's their proposition to investors. No, they
Hmm.
can't suddenly change that. The investors who bought at a high P or whatever P it had was with the assurance that Apple will always be the high margin play.
They
You can't.
can do whatever they want. This is a choice that they have made. And people are saying you don't deserve any sympathy. So don't be like
Okay,
boo hoo.
what was the alternative? I'm asking you, what was the alternative?
Reduce your gross margins to 35% or maybe reduce your stockholder compensation. $320 billion of stock buybacks over the last 3, 4, 5 years. Right. They're all
Okay,
choices, right? They're all
uh,
choices.
play that out. It's now the 5-6% whatever short immediate market reaction, the drop that happened was because array volumes are going to get affected. Clearly, that was the thing. Look at the counterfactual. If they had said no, we are going to do lower margins going forward, any guesstimates on, we are speculating, but that would have been a 20% drop, not a 5% drop.
Yeah, so but it is a choice, right? They made a choice that we will do whatever is going to not or going to least impact our stock
Stock
price.
price.
It's a
Yeah,
choice.
yeah.
See,
With
again, I
quarterly
have no
reporting,
sympathy for people who buy iPads either, right? These are all discretionary purchases. It's not like
yeah,
these are poor people who deserve cheap consumer electronics, or those poor
right,
Americans.
right.
Right. I'm just saying people are complaining and rightfully they're calling out the company for saying, oh, we had no choice. They're calling out, of course you had a choice. You just took a choice. All of this is a choice.
You're actually taking the consumer POV, and I'm actually taking the shareholder POV, even though
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not a shareholder that I know of Apple. That's the dichotomy, and you have Tim Cook in the middle trying to decide which way he has to turn. Of course, he's going to lean on my side, right? Because
Like,
he's
like, I'll just read out a few of the comments, right? Lots of fun commentary going on. So The Verge wrote an article on Apple raising prices. Uh, 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 Top comment, most recommended. I'm gonna go out on a limb to say that I have not had any productivity increases from AI be worth the financial burden it has placed upon me and my family. Another
nice.
one, at least we're getting slop and unemployment in exchange. Because look at it, is not just that, oh, this is not because of the Iran war, which was also a choice, right? The war itself was a choice. Nobody forced it upon the Americans. This is because of AI. And on the consumer side, what benefits are people seeing? On the corporate side, what benefits are, sure, productivity increases, right? But these are very
Wait,
real
did we
consumer harms.
did we actually spell out why AI is causing storage prices to increase? We
Well,
didn't.
okay, fair enough. Let us spell that out. That the AI companies have decided that everyone is going to require a lot more AI. Everyone is going to be plugged into AI like Matrix style all the time, right? Therefore, we need to procure all the compute we can.
Set up
Therefore,
more data centers,
set
more
up
and
more
more.
data centers. We
Yeah,
should actually just link to that episode that we did, which talked about how it is flowing all the way down the chain. Prices are increasing. The first calamity or whatever was GPUs, because GPUs are
right.
needed by the AI industry for compute. And then it spread to SSDs, it spread to RAM, it spread to any kind of networking equipment, optical equipment, computer hardware. Anything computing is now much more expensive because everything is being prioritized towards AI compute, which is being financed by private debt.
Also, anything related to electrical infrastructure.
Yes.
You can't buy a turbine from G. If you place an order now, you'll get it in 30 or 31. A
Yes.
turbine, a gas turbine to to generate electricity from CNG or whatever.
I will
You
link to that episode, and if I remember, I won't remember, but I will put a card right here in the corner. This corner, one corner.
you've never
I will
done
not
that.
remember.
Click here.
Oh, I'm doing that. I-
Awesome. So
but
yeah,
some
we
specifics,
established.
anyhow, I'll do that. But some specifics: Samsung, SK Hynix, and Micron control 95% of DRAM production, and they have very clearly and systematically reallocated capacity towards high bandwidth memory for AI accelerators, leaving consumer DRAM and NAND sticks critically short. This is Micron's. I'm forgetting his full name, Mr. Sadana. He explains, the CEO, he explains that making 1 bit of high bandwidth memory means foregoing roughly 3 bits of conventional memory, which is what consumers need. And each AI GPU has several HBM high bandwidth memory stacks. An Nvidia B300 GPU uses 8 HBM chips of 12 DRAM dies each, and each wafer going to high bandwidth memory is not going to a consumer laptop or a phone or a console. So therefore, consumer laptops are being wrung out to dry. Concentration of demand, and they also want fewer customers giving them bigger orders. Enough and more executives on the consumer hardware side. Dell has said this. Others also have said this. HP also, I think, that the RAM guys are just not talking to them anymore. The RAM guys are saying, look, commit to this much at this price, or I'll stop taking your calls. Because the AI guys are right there, Nvidia is right there. And this is a structural reset. This is not, your point is also that Apple should not be absorbing or cannot afford to absorb these losses because they're not temporary blips.
Yeah.
They are resets.
Unlike, say, okay, the Strait of Hormuz is closed. Our oil marketing companies are going to because we know this is temporary or we feel this is temporary, 6 months tak we will manage without or with minimal price hikes. This is not that. Who knows when this will normalize? I just thought of a slightly tortured analogy. Uh, f- for folks who might remember, N95 masks in January of 2020 were like $4 a piece, 4 rupees, 3 or 4 rupees a piece in January of 2020. In June or July, the highest that I heard was 150 rupees for an N95 mask. Now we're seeing the same severe supply demand mismatch here. In that there are only so many sticks of RAM in the world, new sticks of RAM in the world, and supply far outstrips demand. You're going to see crazy, because if you told anybody in January of 2020, buy a warehouse full of N95 masks, which is like the most mundane medical commodity that nobody even gives a second thought to, right? I have visibility into the medical supply chain. No one cares about these things. Gloves, masks, was hair. They're like the mirchi dhania of the medical supply chain. They go along with the main vegetables, but nobody really focuses on them. To see that price go from 3 rupees to 150, 160 even, although I don't think many masks change hands at those prices, and then to finally stabilize at in the 50s range for nearly a year, that was wild. And even then you had, okay, even this pandemic has a ticking clock, in that we might have a vaccine, and so there is a sunset to this madness. यहाँ पे तो वो भी नहीं है ना. Who knows how it will end, or when it will end, or whether it will end. तो क्या ही करेंगे? All these companies have to pass on the price hikes while maintaining the legacy margins that they've had, because that's the business they're in.
It is so a lot of one, yes, absolutely. COVID is a great parallel. So many things, right? N95 masks, oxygen concentrators in the Delta wave, right? Went up. There was very limited consumer side oxygen concentrator demand before that. But now, because cylinders were nowhere available, people were importing them. People were asking for a lakh and a half for a 40,000 rupee concentrator. Chips for cars, processors for cars. The auto industry decided that no, demand is going to go down or whatever. So they did not place orders. The computing industry, because everyone was suddenly working remote, everyone needed new devices. So all the processors went there. And car makers could no longer keep up supply. So these are all choices. The second part is, again, a lot of the criticisms are because one is, yes, this 46% margin is a choice, right? People are going to crib that, look, if I'm buying a $500 laptop and Apple is making a 50% margin, if it's great value for money, okay, sure, great. If you're raising it to $800, it is not value for money anymore, and you still want to make a 50% margin on that, okay. And but if you want to crib about it, oh, I have no choice, I'm so sorry, what will I do with my 75 million pay package has to stay, but I'm so sorry, you have to now pay me extra. I know you're hurting, but I'm so sorry, I had no choice. Well, sure, people are going to crib, right? It's a choice. The next part of this, second part of this, is the stock prices are going mad of all these companies. So and people see that the executives are super happy.
Yeah.
Everyone's making money on the top.
Because they have stock-based
Yeah,
compensation.
yeah, yeah. But we are living in a world where everything requires computing. And you want us to do more and more of computing on AI all the time, on new phones all the time. Every app is now using 10 GB of space on the phone, right? And it's our job to keep cleaning up. And then you're like, deal with it. While the executives are making crazy amounts of money. I'm going to read out some of the tweets, some of the fun tweets.
While you look them up,
Hmm.
here's what I think is going to happen with a big contingency. This is what I think will happen if the AI bubble does not pop. Okay, if it still continues, then because so much of consumer wallet share is now electronics, I know you're calling them discretionary, but if everybody is buying them, they're really not. Right? You can defer
Yeah,
purchases maybe, but
absolutely. No. So I'm just trying to distinguish between categories of electronics.
I got that,
Mm.
but they're not as a whole. Like our whole world revolves around them, right?
Yeah.
They're not, and the entire category is not discretionary, clearly, and we agree on that. So what's going to happen is, because it's a big part of the average consumer's wallet share, uh, it's going to lead to inflation, right?
Yeah.
And what's going to happen is that the Mac Mini, or the what's the new laptop called?
Neo.
Neo. The Neo was great value at $500. Does not look like great value at $800.
Yeah.
But give it 6 or 7 months, and then $800 will not look great value at $800, no? Because $800 will not buy you that much. And then again, these the same things at the same price points will start feeling more reasonable. Okay, makes sense. Inflation is going to catch up with these prices given enough time, given a year without the AI bubble. The prices won't pinch so much anymore. Right
Yeah, but
now,
the
the
problem
price
is that
tag is
salaries also have to then keep up.
no, वो थोड़ी होता है.
Exactly.
वो नहीं होता है. No, no, no. Sorry, you're barking up the wrong tree. We can't do that.
Like, so one guy is, so MacBook Neo at $700 without Touch ID.
Uh-huh.
Now this is comparisons between different products, right? People are now saying is the same price as one of the XPS 13 models, which again in the Windows world, even 32 GB RAM is not the same as 16 GB on the. But the Neo is 8 GB RAM. That is now suddenly terrible value, and it is soldered in, so you can't even upgrade. And there's no option for a 16 GB also.
Hmm.
I think there's only you can do a 512, but you can't do a 16 GB. I think.
Or you have to
But in
move.
any case, the base model,
I don't know. Huh.
$700 for an 8 GB model in the year of our Lord 2026 is shit value. No matter how much you say that this is soldered RAM SoC, so therefore it is faster,
Uh-huh.
right? The MacBook Pro at $2,000 in the US is like there's a Surface laptop which is much cheaper and better. And Microsoft, so Sony's hardware division operates at a much lower average gross margin. Microsoft, again, no specific numbers, but they do seem to operate at a much lower, like the 25 to 30% margins. There are
Uh-huh.
huge gaps in this industry also. Apple and Nintendo are at the 45-50%. Dell, Sony, and Microsoft hardware seem to be much lower, the 20 to
They're
30%
closer
range.
to commodities.
Hmm. But now things
Like
do change, right?
Dell or an HP, or what other brands are there? All these laptops are fungible. ना? कोई फर्क थोड़ी है. I don't know. I haven't used one in a very long time, but they all seem the same in what limited use I have.
And I do crib about my Apple MacBook Pro giving me 3 hours of battery life now, right? Which is shit. Should I go on a personal rant about it? It is terrible.
Save it for later.
But yeah, like Windows World operates on 3 hours of whatever battery life, right? So exactly, Windows PCs are all fungible. Consoles are so Steam just launched a Steam PC, which is a box that you place next to your TV. It runs its own sweet little OS. You can game on your large screen TV now. It's not like a regular PC where you have to install Hazar software and deal with Hazar pain.
Right.
Right. But it's not a top end gaming console like spec. Right. Benchmark say it's sort of equivalent to a PS5, which is a 6-year-old gaming console. It's priced at like north of $1,000 because they also ran into RAM issues,
Same issues. Yeah.
which is crazy pricing for.
But if not for that, it would have been a great product. If not for the pricing.
Yeah. Now suddenly for everything, great product if you ignore the price, including the Mac Mini, right? Like we started this episode. Great product if you ignore the price, but you can't. So yeah, earlier it was great product, go buy it. There is no parallel. Now 95,000 rupees is madness.
Yeah.
So one tweet says Apple price increase, Steam machine is expensive, Xbox price increase, GTA 6 is $80, people being unable to buy SSDs or RAM. All of these are tied to one thing. Sam Altman.
Not
You don't hate this guy enough. Apple sold $20 of RAM for $200 for a decade. Now RAM actually costs money and suddenly it's a crisis. Just in the Trump administration has reportedly asked OpenAI to stagger the release of GPT 5.6 over security concerns. So
Yeah.
someone's quote tweeting, well, you can't afford a new computer because the AI industry is using all of the world's RAM, but at least you can't use the AI either because Big Brother says no.
No. Yeah.
What in the genuine fuck happened to SSD and RAM prices? I despise these useless fuck ass data centers. So people are pinning all the blame right there.
But that's a small corner of the internet. I
It's
don't
a big
think.
corner of the internet.
Okay, but it's still online, right? How many people on the street know that this causality chain exists, that prices have gone up because of AI specifically, while AI is yet to give any measurable uh, payoff for
On
all
the
the.
consumer side, I would say AI has had an impact and it's been mostly negative. Fear of job losses. And these guys at the top are busy spreading that fear, right? AI will take all your job. It is panacea, but also it will take your job away. So on the consumer side, and people go to work and people in the tech industry are scared for their jobs, or at the very least are completely hassled. There is no normal anymore because AI se karo, suddenly everyone's work has gone up 5x, right? And then prices are going up. So I don't know if people are drawing that correlation between RAM prices going up because of AI. Maybe not, but I think it will be clear soon enough if anyone digs into it. It's not a hidden thing at all. It's not an obscure whatever. Look, RAM prices have gone up. If anyone wants to check why RAM prices have gone up, it's a very easy, very, very easy single step to draw because,
You can just ask Gemini. It'll
yeah, it will tell you immediately. But iPad Air is at a lakh. I mean, what is iPad Air for a lakh? It's
All
funny.
right. Is anything you want to add? I want to do a quick sidebar
I'm done.
before I get into my thing. So, standing where we are today, since we give such amazing consumer advice, would you advise people to buy a Mac Mini today? But what if it doubles again in 6 months?
No, it's not an investment. It is it worth the money? No. A 16256 for 95K? No. Build your own PC. You'll still be able to find stuff. Buy it on OLX.
And don't get scammed. Check with Vineet for which listing is a scam and which one is not. A man has clearly spent enough time on the platform to give you
Do your
reasonable
research. Is the
guide.
guy at the other end sounding like a real person who knows about computers? Is he like, yeah, talk to the other person. Don't get scammed, please. And if anyone sends you a QR code, ki I will send you money. Here is my QR code. No, that is absolutely a scam. So yeah, or go to Narrow Place, pick up stuff. You will find better deals. 95K. See, the thing is, it is a black box. The Mac Mini is a black box. That is a compromise you make. It is everything is on one chip. You cannot upgrade it. You cannot change it. I was hunting for instructions. You can apparently open it up, the Mac Mini M4, and change the SSD. If you buy a very specific SSD from AliExpress,
Oh,
right,
cool.
which you can get a 1 TB, uh, okay, prices are not never going to go down, but yeah, a 1 TB SSD for a compatible SSD for about 20K on AliExpress if a friend is coming from abroad. And you can just upgrade your 256 to a 1 TB. People have done that. There are instruction manuals on the internet.
Nice.
But other than that, it's a black box, right? You can never upgrade. I would not buy a black box for a lakh. If I'm spending a lakh, it had better
Yeah.
last me a few years
And be modular.
and be modular. Absolutely, it has to be modular. Otherwise, 3 years later, I will have to then, like, what do I do with it? See, it's very easy to say for these guys that no, 16 GB on RAM is like 64 on Windows or 32 on Windows, whatever. But software is terrible. Whatever gains you have, whatever gains the hardware industry has made over the last 10 years, the
Software
software
will
industry has chewed
keep
it
that.
all up.
Yeah.
Look at Microsoft Word, it's probably taking some 10 GB of space on your computer. Why? It's a word processor.
But
Why does it need like,
it has AI. I'm forgetting that.
can I cry on camera?
No, we'll save it for later. My story is
Yeah.
planned and just an update because I just saw the press release. You remember we spoke about Varun Beverages? What was that, 8 months back? About
Probably
how,
six or lesser.
yeah, something like that. So Varun Beverages is PepsiCo's India bottler. For folks who missed that episode, uh, essentially they're joined at the hip with PepsiCo. So PepsiCo does the marketing, provides the formula, the concentrate as well, I think, and then the rest of it, the carbonation, the bottling, the distribution, all of that is taken care of by Varun Beverages. Now, when we did the episode, Varun Beverages renewed their agreement with PepsiCo until 2049, I think, but also managed to convince PepsiCo to let them do other things because until then their agreement was very restrictive. The PepsiCo had to sign off on every side venture that Varun Beverages did. So the Ravi Jaipuria group, which owns Varun Beverages, also has a bunch of other companies who are also tied to the PepsiCo umbrella in different ways. Yum Brands, KFC, Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, which thank God Pizza Hut got sold at the company level in the US. And the same thing is going to happen here as well. It got bought out by private equity, which could have been a story we could have done. But thank God, it was an albatross around everybody's necks, and so it's out. Good for them, because they clearly lost. It's unthinkable that there was a time when Domino's and Pizza Hut actually competed neck to neck. But anyways, Pepsi said it's okay. You can do other things on the side. Varun Beverages has always had an Africa presence. They were also the bottler there for PepsiCo, and they have acquired a couple of brands in Africa. They're going to market and promote. They entered an alcohol distribution, which was the crux of our story. Alcoholic brand distribution in Africa. There is another update on that. They just signed a JV with Asahi, the Japanese conglomerate, and they are going to be distributing non-alcoholic milk-based beverages in India. So the marketing and formulation is going to be done by SI, and Varun Beverages is basically renting out its distribution muscle because they have so many touch points. They're saying, this should serve as a template for any beverage that requires a cold chain. Okay, you just come to India and plug and play with Varun, and you have instant availability across the country. You can just focus on, if you want, we'll do the bottling as well, the manufacturing. You can just focus on the marketing, or you make it, or whatever. So the product is called, unfortunately, Calpis, Calpis. It's a yogurt based drink. I think it should be Chas adjacent, buttermilk
That is a
adjacent.
terrible name.
Yeah, but it's
And
called,
you know exactly why.
yeah. Sorry, I don't make these names up, man. They're just here. Uh, yeah, under this alliance, Asahi Group Holdings will be responsible for product development and providing technical support for the production of Calpis branded beverages, while its local subsidiary will oversee marketing and brand engagement. Varun Beverages will handle manufacturing, distribution, and sales. So if you are a global or a multinational or beverage brand, you can just come in and plug and play the Indian market, do trials, um, because this is a very very hard nut to crack. Right? Distribution is hard. Distribution cold chain is hard. Perishable cold chain distribution is probably the hardest thing to crack in a country like India with its climate and everything. And Varun has cracked it already on the back of PepsiCo, and so now they are offering it as a service to anybody. So if you Varun, if you Vineet want to launch a beverage brand, you know whom to call. Just reach out to Ravi or Varun Jaipuria and let them know. क्या हमें भी करना.
Absolutely do that.
So I thought that's really cool. That we are seeing in the span of less than a year, a company entirely reinventing itself. Will it work or not? I don't know. This is not stock advice, but it's a fascinating story because उनका पूरा the whole reason the company existed was to be the bottling arm of PepsiCo because there were mandates ke, you need a local partner, and with the pesticide controversy and all that turned out to be good, right? Having local partners who can manage things. So yeah, really cool. We're seeing a company being reinvented. I don't know what the payoff will be, but it's brave, this entire decision. On the other side, Devyani, which is their QSR arm, which does Taco Bell and KFC and a bunch of brands, has acquired its largest competitor, the other franchisee of these brands, Sapphire Foods, and they've got the blessing from the respective what is that competitive watchdog and everything. It's through the competition commission or whatever. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank. They've gotten approval on that. So even that part of the business is being reinvented. In that, there's consolidation. So this is going to be one master franchisee for all of India for Yum Brands. What used to be Yum Brands, and
Very
again,
cool.
maybe you have the distribution muscle. So tomorrow, if you Vineet say I want to start a ghee positive dosa brand, you can just reach out to Varun and say, here's my concept and let's do it. करते हैं. This is my brand. This is my technical know-how. कि dosa कैसे बनता है, and let's roll it out pan India. I'm almost certain they will offer that as a service in that business, but that hasn't been announced yet. That's just me speculating. This is definite.
Distribution as a service is actually a fantastic, and yeah, they have better reach than most people.
Most, yeah.
Who's the equivalent on the Coke side?
Hindustan Coca-Cola Beverages, which is mostly owned by Coke and which is going to go for a listing very soon. HCCB. That's going to be listed soon.
Yeah, and nobody in the country, any other brand would have a better distribution than Pepsi and Coke, I'm guessing. I'm guessing Geo is like ramping up really fast. Like Campa Cola is everywhere.
So what these guys built in 25 years, has done in what 3 years.
Yeah.
It's a miracle,
Distribution
and
as a service for cold
there
chain.
is a supply shortage of the beverage coolers that these guys place everywhere. Just because Campa entered the market, the manufacturers of the coolers, the chillers that you see in shops, those guys have had trouble keeping up with demand. In fact, if uh, sorry if I'm misattributing this, but I think Varun invested in a Sri Lankan manufacturer of those chillers because to have like a proprietary source of the chillers because that was the bottleneck there.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. I love hearing about businesses that have gone deep into their area, expanding in the real world because it's really tough to do. It is really tough to do.
And you just said very cool about a soft drink story, so I don't know what to say.
Uh, your pilot thing was better last week. Air
Yeah.
India doing a pilot.
हर
Yes.
बॉल पे तो सिक्स नहीं मार सकते ना.
Yes. So that is that for this episode. Everyone go out and buy an iPad. No, definitely do not go out and buy an iPad. It is not value for money. See you next week, Nitesh.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.